Hey, bros. Welcome to ProBROknow.
Hey, bro.
Hey, welcome.
What's going on?
Well, another day.
Another day living in paradise?
Yeah. It's kind of nice. Sun shining today. It's not too cold.
I know.
I guess it is sun shining out there.
Gotta love it for November.
Honestly,
It's not bad. It's not bad temps for late.
It is getting
it's basically
colder.
late November, almost.
It's getting colder in like another week.
oh
and a
yeah,
half.
no, it is for sure.
Yeah.
Nights it gets cold, but
Yeah.
yeah. So today's podcast,
Your topic.
it is my topic, and it's going to be a little bit different on this one. Yeah, I'm going to just read something that I found that actually kind of moved me, and I really liked what it said, and I want to get your opinion and see if it resonates with you guys. And then I think after I read it, it's probably going to
Spark some conversation.
yeah, I'm hoping so.
You just want to dive right in then?
I want to dive in, and we're going to start by just reading what I'm going
What you're gonna read?
to read.
Okay.
All right.
Mediocrity. Mediocrity is a thief with soft hands. It doesn't break down the door. It seeps in unnoticed. It makes its home in your smallest choices, slipping between your dreams and your excuses. It whispers, "This is fine. This is enough." It doesn't demand. It seduces. And before you know it, it's everywhere. It's in the way you show up, half-hearted, half-present, just skating by. It's in your relationships, where love fades into obligation, where silence replaces effort, where connection is lost because trying feels like too much. It's in your work, where ambition is dulled by routine, where you trade your fire for a paycheck and a to-do list. It's in your health, where every skipped workout, every ignored promise pulls you further from the strength you once swore you'd build. Mediocrity is infectious. It spreads through culture like a slow poison. It's in the way we praise busyness but avoid depth. It's in the distractions we cling to, the scrolling, the consuming, the endless numbing of our potential. We've made it normal to settle, to coast, to be fine with fine. But mediocrity doesn't just live in individuals. It breeds in communities, in relationships, in entire systems. It's the silent killer of greatness, the invisible force that keeps us small, that convinces us that trying harder isn't worth the risk. And here's the truth. Mediocrity is a lie. It tells you that safety is better than effort, that good enough is a badge of honor, that avoiding failure is the same as succeeding. But it's not. Mediocrity costs you more than any failures ever could. It costs you the life you could have lived, the dreams you've buried because they felt too big, the love you didn't fight for because it required just too much, the version of yourself you never got to meet because settling felt safer than rising. Greatness doesn't come easy. It isn't packaged, polished, convenient. It asks for sweat, for focus, for the willingness to tear yourself open and rebuild. It asks you to stand in the fire when mediocrity offers you the shade. And greatness, it's not just for your career. It's in the way you show up for your people. It's in your apology you give when it's easier to stay silent. It's in the effort you pour into love, the moments you choose connection over convenience. It's in the way you demand more from yourself so you can give more to the world. Mediocrity doesn't just steal you. It steals from everyone around you. Your potential is not just your own. It's a ripple that could change lives, if only you'd dare to rise. This isn't about perfection. It's not about grinding until you break. It's about breaking free from the trap of just enough. It's about showing up fully alive, fully here, choosing discomfort over regret, effort over excuses. The world doesn't need no more mediocrity. It needs people who refuse to settle, who demand excellence in their love, their work, their lives. It needs people willing to rise, even when it's hard, even when it hurts. Sorry, guys. So burn the excuses, break the habits, push past the lie that safety is success. The life you want, the person you were meant to be, is on the other side of just enough. Step into the fire and don't look back.
Well,
So-
you fooled me. I thought you were going to read like a sentence. That was massive.
Yeah.
So first of all, you should do relaxation tapes.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're really tired now.
Just sit back and relax. Take a deep breath in. No, you're a good storyteller. That was a compliment. Yeah.
Okay.
Good storyteller.
Yeah.
Who wrote
that's
that?
interesting. Yeah.
So yeah, I should probably give credit to actually where it's due here. So I saw that. I didn't know where I saw that, but I saw it, and when I read it, it just really resonated.
Yeah,
with me.
it's really well written.
It was written by a person called Branden Collinsworth. Sorry.
Is he an author or just a
Branden.
rando on the?
I don't know. I haven't I probably should have got some backstory on who Branden was, but
Well, maybe we should look at that.
yeah.
No, it's really well written.
So yeah, when I read it, I don't know why it resonated with me, but it just felt like, actually I don't need your glasses now, Chad.
Yep.
It just kind of resonated with me that I feel like that's kind of what's happened in the world. Like people just feel like, we don't need to try hard anymore. And
Agreed.
And I believe that if you let mediocrity sort of seep into your life or into the workplace, then it becomes infectious. And everyone's like, okay, well, if he's not doing that, I don't need to do that.
Well,
And everyone kind of lowers their standard, maybe.
yeah, Wade and I kind of talked about this the other day. It's sort of similar to, we were
It
just
is,
talking
yeah.
about what's happened to, was it standards? Was that the actual word?
It was it was going to be a podcast topic as is it evolution or is it a lowering of our standards in our society?
Right, because everybody's just saying good enough. Yeah,
it
same-
is part
same
of this.
thing. Yeah.
It's kind of, it's adjacent for sure.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting. I can see why that was thought provoking.
Like when you heard that, what did it make you think? Like it wants you want to strive for greatness or to banish mediocrity? Like let me put it this way. Do you find yourself having some mediocrity?
I think in certain areas of life you accept mediocrity. I think in general,
Should you?
well, I guess it depends on the nature of what it is. I'd like to think that I don't live the bulk of my life in mediocrity. It kind of makes me sad for all the people that I know that do live their life like that. Like it makes me think of specific people that I think, yeah, you're that guy. Mm-hmm.
And I think we all have people like that where we just think, why, like, and I don't know. Like, I guess I think everyone has a certain bias. My bias is, I don't believe in mediocrity. Like, I don't think you shouldn't settle for being mediocre because I feel like then you're just settling. And I think you lose your potential when you kind of settle.
Well, yeah, if you're not driven in life to succeed at whatever it is you're doing, then you become in the mid pile, right?
Right. But is that a bad thing?
Depends on your view.
Yeah, it depends on the outlook.
You said should you be, and I think that depends on each individual is unique and how they view mediocrity, I guess.
Yeah. It
Some
may not
don't
be
see it as a
important to
bad
them.
thing.
Right.
I think we all have it. None of us could ever say we don't have some aspect of mediocrity in our lives. Like it does take over. But I think striving for more is effort. And I think people get caught up in that.
Yeah.
Am I really going to get what I want by doing the effort, or should I just accept it, as you said, it's good enough? So
Right.
when you read it, you asked how it made me think. I think I was questioning, do I do that when you were reading certain passages? And then I just found it really interesting, just the way it was written. So it just made me, I just thought it's very thought provoking for sure. There's a ton of mediocrity in the workforce.
Yeah.
Ton
for sure. And I think we do it in our day-to-day lives. This is maybe not a good example, but I mean, if you were out and you were looking for something to eat and it was, I'm just going to give you a hypothetical. You tell me if this fits it or not. So you were looking for something to eat and I don't know, McDonald's was on the corner in front of you, and the place you were thinking of going was 20 minutes away, but the traffic was bad. You're like, forget it. Just go.
It's good enough.
Just go to McDonald's. Is that exact? I mean, is that an example?
Well, that's a form, I guess, of
right?
You're settling.
But I mean, so I think people do that. People do that all the time because there's just times when the juice isn't worth the squeeze. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I would say that's not really
It's not
where I was going.
It's not the crux of that article, but yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about life choices and how you
Just
live
in
your
general,
life
yeah.
and what you do. Yeah.
Right. Because obviously I do believe that what you put into something is what you get out.
Yes.
Not always, though.
Not always.
Not
You're
always.
right.
You're not always rewarded for effort.
Correct. But does that then mean that you shouldn't put in the effort?
No, I don't think it does, because it's about your own integrity and how you feel about yourself.
Correct.
But I think putting an effort in for certain things is paralyzing for some people, right? To think about, well, you could even think
Be
about
overwhelming.
it's overwhelming. You can think about your own careers and what you do for a living and what you could have done or what you wanted to do. And like I always thought when I was younger, I'd like to be a paramedic. Couldn't tell you why I never did it. I just didn't. Right. It was probably a paralyzing, like, oh, well, that means more schooling, and then do I really want to do that? Like a shift.
You probably could do that, actually. I think you'd be good. You'd be a good paramedic.
I would have loved doing it.
Yeah.
Right. But I didn't. I don't know why I didn't. But I think some decisions are paralyzing in that way. So you settle for, well, this is still okay. Right. And then I think when you settle, then you have that word regret that you don't want to have to live with.
Yeah. Well, you've lowered your standard and you've kind of let yourself down in some capacity to do it because it was easier, right?
Like mediocrity in relationships, it's sometimes easier to settle or to not have a discussion because you know the discussion is going to lead to a much harder challenge.
Or a much tougher decision.
Or a much tougher decision or a much tougher conversation. So you just go, don't like it, but
Right.
I don't know if that's mediocrity using
Sure it is.
using
Yeah,
a
it is.
relationship.
sure it
Because,
is.
I mean, it's avoiding a confrontation that's maybe unnecessary.
But the result of avoiding it is mediocrity,
You're settling,
is settling.
and maybe you're unhappy, but you're like, I'm just gonna settle. It's not worth the struggle.
Is that kind of
the financial? No, but I know a lot of people that go through this where they might stay in a marriage and it's clearly broken, but they decide I'm just gonna sell. It's just not worth the headache, the financial hardship, the starting over, all that stuff combined.
Same with the job.
But that's kind of sad. Yeah, but it is the same as a
true.
job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
If you
don't like my job. I hate my
I
job.
hate it, but
I'm going to stay because you know what? It pays the bills.
right.
Yeah.
The effort of finding another job is just too much for
Probably
me.
going to take too long.
Yeah. What if I don't get another job?
But what a shame. Like you're here for 100 spins and you're going to waste your life and not have your full potential because you're just like, it's not worth it.
Is that laziness? Is that
Sure it is.
Complacency? I don't know what it is.
It's all of those things.
Yeah.
All of those. It is complacency. We all get complacent.
But I think it's important to recognize when you're getting complacent because it's easy to fall into that trap.
Well, and I'm not tooting my horn. We've all taken on new responsibilities or jobs. We've all sought out additional responsibilities and promotions because we felt complacent. I left my last place of work because I felt complacent. I was like, what is there left for me to do here that I'm like, this is my life now for the next 20 years. So then I left and went and did something else.
And good on you because
But
otherwise
that was a tough decision.
but one of the best decisions you ever made.
It was.
Yeah.
But it is hard to fight mediocrity. It takes effort and some goal setting.
Chad?
what can I add? I don't really have anything to.
Yeah, you're settling. Nice.
No, I think it's a very, very impactful article because it's very true. I think
it's
a
going
lot
to
of
make
us,
people think they're going to think very deeply on this topic.
Well, I will say I'm curious to know if I made the decision in January to pack up my business and just do some other things. And although my life is seemingly less busy, I'm not really sure because I've taken on lots of little extra creative bits. But I feel like it was the mediocrity of just not enjoying going in every day, not enjoying dealing with the phone calls and the hassles.
not being challenged.
Not being challenged. It was just, 20 years, I had it down and I just needed my creative side to flow. So I think I would say that was my leap out of mediocrity probably because now I'm free to do those things that make me happy.
And that you're passionate about, right?
But Chet, yeah. Sorry.
I was
Like
just
this
gonna say-
podcast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And boat and tackle, right? That's something that you wanted to do. And that to you, that's not a job,
Right.
right? That's like your passion. Fishing is your passion. So, and it's sad that there's a lot of people that aren't living their passion because they are just settling or they're too afraid to make that jump.
I would guess that most people are not living their passion.
How
Yeah.
sad is that?
I think it is sad, but I think there's a lot of reasons for that. Like life gets in the way sometimes. You can't always have like I'm not a big believer of you can do anything you want to do in this life. Like
Well,
I don't believe that.
you,
But it should be like
you
that.
can if you plan early enough and you have a focus and you follow that path.
I
But
don't.
making a switch midway is tough. So if you're a grown adult, if you're 40, 50 years old and you suddenly decide you want to have a new career, sometimes that's a tough jump because you're going to give up a whole bunch of money. You can't support yourself. There's lots.
My
lots of
point is
reasons.
though, you can't be whatever you want to be in this life
Okay, so hang on.
because you
Pause
can't
that.
control everything about that.
Perfect. Pause that thought. For a second, think about how different this world would be if every single person on this planet was able to do their passion. Whatever they wanted to do in their life. Money wasn't an object. Whatever you wanted to do, you were paid enough that you could live and do all the things you wanted to do. Like, let's just say,
Universal basic income.
well, you can call it that. You can call it that, but I don't want it to be a government sponsored thing. It's
Right.
just like if somehow the system was created that everyone could follow their dreams and their passion.
It would
and
never happen.
And
No,
but they
this
could
is
just
hypothetical, Chuck.
right,
Right?
they could just focus on what it is that they were passionate about. Think of how different the world would look. Like you would go to any business that had customer service, and the only people there were people that love doing customer service that service the hell out of you. I think it like you start looking in that kind of perspective. I think the world becomes a way different spot.
Oh yeah, that would be amazing. And I know for me, I mean, customer service is something we've talked about before. I hate it when I go into a store, a restaurant, whatever it is, and they look like they're burdened by me being there.
Right.
It
Because
pisses
they
me.
hate- they don't wanna
pisses
be
me
there.
off. And
It's not their
I told you
passion.
before. I've said to somebody, if you don't like your job, you can quit.
But that's not true. Maybe they can't because they can't survive without a job. And they can't get a job. And maybe they've been looking for the last
That's pretty
6
sad
months.
though. If you stayed in that
Right.
crappy little job for all that time.
But that's my point. You can't, there are external factors that prohibit you from doing exactly
Well, they
what you
make it
want to do
scary,
in life.
right?
Well, for instance, am I ever going to be the president of the United States? I'm probably not.
Well, do you want to be?
No, but
There's
my
probably
point-
room for somebody
No,
good.
but if I want to be a rock star, right? Am I a musician? Sure. Am I going to be a rock star? Probably not. And
Do you
there's-
want to be?
I would love to be a rock star, but there are external factors that prevent me from doing that.
So what's preventing you from becoming a rock star? That's what I want to know.
Well, what prevents 90% of the musicians who are incredibly talented from being a rock star? The system, knowing the right person, where you live, geography, lots of things. So I'm just saying there's lots of things that get in the way. Do I think the person who works at Tim Hortons who hates their job, do I think they have a choice? I do. You can find another job.
Yeah. It's still going to be a minimum wage job, though, more than likely, if that's where they're working.
But they might love that new minimum wage job. Right? Spencer has a point. Like if everyone really was doing what they love to do,
Right.
they'd be a lot happier. Like
Well, I think you
there's
would
a lot of
just-
miserable people in the world.
Yeah. And how does that change the world as we know it? Every pilot is the best pilot in the world. Every, like whatever. You think of any profession and you've got the people that's their passion. They want to do it.
It's kind of a cool thought, really. I mean, if it was possible, and I don't think it is, but if it was possible,
You'd have to tear down our entire
Our
societal
entire
structure.
system is not
Yeah.
set up that way. But it kind of, I started thinking about this and I was like, it really sucks that it's not. Because I think that would make the world a completely
you should
different
You
spot.
should start the mediocre movement or something like that.
Well, that is the premise of universal basic income, right? You get paid by the government and you all do what you want to do in your life. Like that's what.
Well, how does that work? And who's going to clean the toilets or whatever? Right.
Well, it doesn't.
Okay.
Well, I think
not
it's
gonna get
more.
done.
I think the universal basic income is really supposed to be as we've lived this utopian world that machines are going to take over. We're going to have robots, and we're going to be able to sit back and just be serviced by all these robots and machines of the world.
And we all just do what we want to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, okay, like that could happen. But then no one has a job, no one's getting paid. How does that work in our
current
society that's
system.
all based around currency and
Yeah.
so I think at that point you have to have a UBI.
Everybody be driving a Pinto because nobody could afford the Cadillac, right?
But that brings up another interesting point, though, Spence, about mediocrity. Because we were raised in this current social structure, that is mediocrity. That's all we're used to. Like that's what we know. Well, no, think
don't
about
think
it.
it's
No,
mediocrity,
think about
though.
it. When we go to, if we travel to Europe, to a European country, how many people have you heard, and us included, to say, "Oh, it's so different. They work so they can live,
Not live to
and
work.
we live to work. It's so different."
But then why do so many people try to get into the U.S. every year?
Right.
For the future of like, this is the American
Right.
dream,
But
and you can be whatever you want.
My point is that we stay living in Canada because the prospect of moving to a new country seems overwhelming. But that's mediocrity. We're settling for a life that we complain about.
I see. I don't think me staying in Canada is mediocrity. I like being here.
Right. And the grass is not necessarily greener.
It always looks better, right?
Right.
From the other side.
Something that you're not accustomed to, that you're not living with, always looks like maybe there's a...
Oh, for sure.
Might be better.
Oh, I know. Visiting Greece is going to be much different than living in Greece.
Of course.
I totally appreciate that. But the things that we hate about our societal norms in North America, that's in North America. Like, we're very different in North America. We work, or we live to work.
Well, does it make, just talking about staying here, if I am retired, if I want to play bingo every day, I want to read a book, I want to do whatever it is I want to do, does that make me mediocre? Because I'm very happy doing that.
No, it doesn't.
No, that doesn't mean you're settling.
Well, because if you're not really doing it,
what
if you're
you
not going out trying to improve your, learn another language or do something, above and beyond, is that mediocre or mediocrity? If you're just living your best life, which happens to be pretty relaxed and laid back?
Well, this is the crux of the question. Mediocrity is subjective.
Right.
What's mediocre? If you feel like you're settling in your life, then that's mediocrity. If you feel like you're not settling because you're quite happy with what you're doing,
and you get to do anything you want because you're retired,
mediocrity.
I wouldn't say that's mediocrity. That's you living your dream. You're doing whatever you want to do.
The whole premise of that article is about, and I like how they use the word seeps in, but it is mediocrity seeps in, and kind of just before you know it, you're like, holy shit,
I've been settling.
Yeah, well, you become very complacent. I mean, just talk to anybody that was on unemployment for more than a few months. They get less and less motivated to go look for a job because you get comfortable.
Well, we saw it in COVID.
Being on the couch.
I'm getting
whatever,
served, so I don't think I want to go back to work now because I kind of
exactly. No one wanted to go to work because they're like, okay, the thing's over.
That was shocking to me actually at that time. Yeah,
it's still happening.
Not as much, but yeah.
But I think in some respects, though, there's some research around people not coming back to the workforce because they didn't want to settle anymore. They actually chose to be something different than me. Yes.
See, I mean,
there's a subsection for sure of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's probably true in part, but I feel like a lot of people did it strictly to manipulate the system to get what they wanted, which was to sit around the house.
A lot of people did, but some people decided, they realized during COVID, my priorities are completely wrong.
Sure.
And I'm going to change my life. And they did. And good for them for changing it. But it did impact our workforce.
Yeah, our workforce is a disaster right now.
Well, it challenged the system that we grew up in, right? It's completely different now. Working from home, not working in an office, it's so foreign, but yet that is 90% of the world today in North America.
I wonder what happens to all that commercial real estate.
Yeah, it's
Toronto.
It's a problem.
If all these people are
It's a huge
working
problem
from
in
home,
Toronto.
what's happening in all these buildings?
Those office towers have to go through a conversion to become like housing.
Apartments?
Yes, they
But
do.
that's a massive undertaking too.
Does GTA have a big problem with
Yes, they do.
vacant buildings
Oh
like
God,
that?
yeah.
Yes, they do.
Massive.
There's a mass exodus of people.
The city cores and all the major centers became ghost towns during COVID.
Well, downtown London.
And people are slowly going back, but there's still a huge amount of vacancies in the commercial market.
And lots of people are still refusing to go back to the office. So they're boycotting that.
But that's not for COVID. That's because they just got comfortable and they don't want to step back out of it.
Did they, or did they realize that I don't have to come into the office to do this job?
Well, I think if I'm the boss, I should decide.
Well, this is getting into a whole other.
I do. If I'm the boss, I should decide what's valuable to me as you being my employee. I should decide what's the most productivity I'm getting. If it is you being at home, that's okay.
Okay,
but
a lot of people
isn't,
have found that is that they are way more productive at home than they are in an office.
Sure,
I think the numbers actually support that.
Yeah, is that mediocrity or is that just good planning on their part?
That's a whole nother podcast. I think
it is. Yeah,
but.
I don't know.
I just thought this is going to, I'm glad I got the response I got from both of you. And I'm hoping this is the response we get from the audience.
Why are you glad you got the response from us?
Well, I wasn't sure how it was going to come off, actually. I wasn't sure. if you guys were going to, if it was going to impact you the way it impacted me, but clearly it did.
You could start a movement of some kind to try to get people to stop.
I'm just going to settle for
I like my mediocrity.
Yeah.
No, I think it's something that everyone has to struggle with in their life. About it's a bigger issue about your purpose and what's your life about, and how do you want to, when you exit this world, are you going to be happy? You're going to have regrets. It's all about that. Because as you said, if we're lucky, we get 100 spins. That's probably not even. We're probably going to get 90 spins.
Yeah,
right?
I'm hoping to make 85 spins personally, but
86 for me.
86.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
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 That's interesting, Spence.
Yeah, it's a very interesting topic for sure, and I think it's going to make people think. It made me think.
Point. I know.
Yeah.
The mediocrity movement.
Yes, I mean, there's probably something to that.
Well, maybe this is what we're starting.
Maybe it is.
It's very written. It's written very much like it's a incestuous disease that kind of seeps in, and it really is, because it takes over without even knowing that it's taken over.
Yeah, well, complacency, it just builds a couple percent at a time, right? And then eventually,
and you don't notice it until
you're on the couch and you've left an indent where you've been sitting. You
don't notice until someone says you're complacent, and then you're like, no, I'm not. You don't notice it until someone points it out.
Yeah, like, what did you do today? What do you mean? I did lots of stuff.
I got up, I showered,
I sat back down,
and I got up again,
made a sandwich.
That's right.
And I made another sandwich. Yeah. Cool topic.
Yes. Well, thank you for reading that, Spence. That was very interesting.
pleasure.
And thank you to whatever his name was that wrote that. Branden. Yes.
What was the last name again?
Collinsworth.
We should look him up, because maybe he's got some more things like that.
We'll put a link on the in our
we can do that
on the site there when we post this up.
All right. Well, thank you
And
for
Branden,
participating
thanks
in
for
that.
your future
Yes.
sponsorship.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's right. Yes. I'd like a free book.
Yes. Signed copies
signed
for
copy.
all our viewer.
That's right.
Yeah.
You get a book,
That's
and you
right.
get a
And you
book.
No, that's it. You're done. That's only two.
Just
only
two.
the two books.
viewers.
That's right.
Okay.
It won't cost them much money to sponsor us.
Yeah.
All right, fellas.
All right.
We'll do it next time.
All right. Fair enough.
See you next time on ProBROknow.
Ciao.